let's talk about the Polaroid Now Plus Gen 3 one more time, because I got some comments, questions, and concerns, and I'll say they are warranted. So what I wanted to do was take this camera and put it against these cameras. Let's get into it.
I'm just another Chris.
If you haven't seen the original in-depth real-world review of the Polaroid Now Plus, there is a link in the description below. But in that video, I was able to determine for the first time ever, I can recommend this camera. It does take some pretty dang good photos. However, there was one concern that I did have, and I wanted to test more, and I have done that. And my concerns lied with the flash. I wasn't getting really bright images. I only did a couple shots, but in this video, I put that to the extreme test. So in addition to the flash, I also got comments from you guys wanting to know how it performs or stacks up next to the Polaroid One Step Plus that came out like a long time ago. So we're gonna put these together and find out. And no fluff, we're just gonna dive right into it. And I took a lot of photos. Results were interesting. So I headed outside and shot some photos just to do a direct comparison. Same lighting conditions, same packs of film even. And what I mean by that is that they were pulled from a double pack of film. So in theory, it's from the same batch. So these are gonna be pretty much the best case scenario for a direct comparison of the Polaroid Now Plus Gen 3 and the One Step Plus. So without actually showing you which one is which one do you like better? Leave a comment down below, let me know. Do you like truck 1 or truck 2? And the grand reveal is truck 1 is with the Now Plus Gen 3 and truck 2 is with the One Step Plus. I'm on team truck 2. It's more evenly exposed. The highlights are preserved better, but then again, it's not as bright. It's a little bit darker. This could just be a personal preference. And I also want to note the black little bar at the bottom of truck 1's photo from the Now Plus Gen 3. I've only ever seen that black bar on 2 specific cameras, the Now Plus series and the i2. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but I think that's weird. I've never seen it on any other camera, that little black bar. Sometimes it's really big, sometimes it's small like this one. Wanted to at least point it out. So I'm gonna keep the same positioning of these photos as we go along. So one on the left is the Now Plus Gen 3, and the one on the right is the One Step Plus. The One Step Plus does handle the exposure better, in my personal opinion. It is darker, but it's more evenly exposed. And the black bar on the Now Plus Gen 3 photo is quite large. I don't know why that camera does that, but sometimes this happens and it's pretty annoying. But is this bad photo? I don't think so. I still think this is a really good and acceptable photo. Now, these next couple, I wanted to use exposure compensation, and I wanted to shoot this in a very intense way. I shot directly into the clouds and wanted to see how these cameras handled. And yeah, the One Step Plus, very, very dark. The exposure comp on that camera means business. You will get a dark image, which is great to have on a bright, sunny day. You're gonna get some really nice, evenly exposed pictures with that camera. But then again, it's not great for all scenarios. The One Step Plus Gen 3, I think, handled this a little bit better. You can actually kind of make out that there's red in the sign, but you can notice that the sky detail is there. The Now Plus Gen 3 is definitely more pleasing. Still not like an amazing photo or anything, but I think you get the point what I was trying to make. Extreme test. For the next shot, I reset exposure comp to neutral, right in the middle. None was used. And I think I want to give it up to the Now Plus Gen 3 on this one. I think it handled the scenario a lot better. Lots of sky detail, highlights aren't blown out at all. Here's another one that I give it up to the Now Plus Gen 3. It performed so much better. Evenly exposed, no sky detail though, worth noting. The One Step Plus does have sky detail in the clouds, but the rest of it's a little dark and not quite so saturated. The grass on the Now Plus is saturated. Much, much better exposed picture. All right, now that we've done outside, let's head back inside and test the camera's flash. That was one of the other concerns that I had. It didn't seem like it had a lot of power. So what I did for this test was use the Now Plus Gen 3 versus the One Step Plus and actually a couple other cameras. So what I did was I turned off all the lights, closed the blinds. It wasn't pitch black in here by any means, but there wasn't a lot of light at all. And yeah, the One Step Plus did handle a lot better. Also worth noting, it was a little cold in my room when I shot these, so there's a little bit of color shift between the two. Ignore that, just look for the overall exposure of the image. If you look at the Now Plus Gen 3, you'll notice the background is pretty much lost. There's no detail. However, the face is a little bit more flattering and the skin tones aren't blown out. But yet again, the overall image is pretty dark when you're looking at the One Step Plus, and you can see a lot of the background. And the background was, this far away. It's about, I don't know, 7 feet behind me or so. And you can still make out the camera shelf and some of the pictures on the back wall. The overall image is just brighter. So I wanted to see how it would do in a studio environment and turn on a backlight to help with the flash. And it did a lot better. Very good, acceptable, exposed image. So for fun, I wanted to see how it would compare to the One Step 2 camera. And more specifically, this is the Stranger Things Edition camera. It was the final version they ever made. They claimed that they improved the flash. It was one of the main features for them to do that, other than it being a themed Stranger Things camera. And I love that camera. The fact that Stranger Things is just a little extra cherry on top, but it is a beautiful camera. It's amazing. I love it. And before I show you the results, keep in mind that camera, I haven't used it in a long time, and there were still a couple shots left in the camera. I don't think I've used that camera in over 6+ months, possibly a year. It's been a long time since I've used it. But don't look at the film quality, just look at the overall exposure. So with that in mind, yeah, it's no contest. The One Step 2 Stranger Things Edition specifically blows it out of the water. It is much, much more exposed and has more power. And for kicks, I don't own a One Step Plus Gen 2 anymore. That was on loan from somebody, but I still own the Gen 1. So I wanted to see how it would stack up against the Gen 3. And yeah, it's not massively better, but it definitely does have a little more output. It is a little brighter. And ignore that little weird light leak at the top of the camera. I pack swapped one last photo from the Gen 3 into the Gen 1 because I didn't really want to load a full pack of film into this thing. I only wanted to take one picture, and I kind of rushed doing it, so I got a little bit of a light leak at the top, but that's not the camera's fault. But yeah, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough to notice that the output of the Gen 1 is brighter, that the Gen 3 is just now decreased, which is unfortunate. So originally the Now Plus series was their flagship camera, but a couple of years ago they released the i2, dethroning the Now Plus cameras as their middle of the road camera now. It's their second best camera. So I wanted to see how they would compare. So here are those results. Same lighting environment, just utilize the flash, and notable, massive, crazy night and day, literally nearly difference. One on the left, obviously, is the Now Plus Gen 3 versus the i2. Granted, there's a massive price difference in these cameras. You're paying $300+ more for the i2, but the photos aren't taken from a far distance. These photos are taken only like a handful of feet away, maybe 3-4 feet. It should have enough power, but it doesn't. And also for fun, this is the One Step 2 photo versus the Now camera, and I kind of like it more. I don't know, maybe just my posing. And again, this photo was actually left in the camera for like a long time. It still came out pretty cool. It's a little faded, not fully spread at the top corner, but still really funny. Yeah, and here's one more with the Now Plus Gen 3. It's just like pitch black. I'm only a few feet away. So really sad to see, but does it make the camera bad? Does it make the camera not worth buying? No, because it still is a good camera in a lot of sense. I can't believe I'm actually fighting and sticking up for this camera. I still recommend it, even with this little flash issue. Maybe it's just because I don't use flash a lot. So maybe this is gonna be different for you, because for me, yeah, I don't use the flash all that much. So it's not a deal breaker. I mostly shoot outdoors or in lower light, not low light situations. Only occasionally I will bust out a camera and use it with the flash. So for me, it's not a deal breaker, but it might be for you. However, one thing I didn't use was the app control. You can connect to your phone, and you do have some options there. You could set the camera up and use it with the flash on and manual control for like a longer exposure, and actually have the flash go off and then let the shutter stay open for a little bit after, and you get much more evenly exposed pictures. I ran out of film and didn't want to load another photo into the camera, but this is how I was able to get this photo with the i2, doing what I just said. And also this photo, but this was taken years ago when I was originally doing the review, with the i2 on a tripod. I can't remember how long the exposure was set for, but it was a long exposure, but the flash still went off. So I was able to expose the subject and get background detail. It's Pretty cool feature. And you can do that with the Now Plus Gen 3, I'm pretty sure. I don't see why not. It has full manual control. But maybe it's worth it for you to pick up some of these older cameras. Let me know in the comments below what you think and what you have and what you're gonna do. Are you gonna be buying a Now Plus Gen 3 after all this? I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, get out there, make some art.